button.
Hi, everybody. We're sitting here waiting for the snow. We're supposed to be getting snow today. It was supposed to snow at 8, and then it was 10, and then it's 11, and we still don't have any snow. So we're just kind of waiting to see what's going to happen with this snowstorm, so-called snowstorm. And meanwhile, a whole bunch of people to the west of us are just getting absolutely hammered with snow. I know the Ottawa area and Quebec City and the GTA getting a ton of snow. Enjoy. We're kind of hoping we get it because when we get lots of snow, it's actually very nice here. But the big news for weather this week is our friends in Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta. They have got a horrible Arctic outflow right now. And yeah, I was chatting with a friend in Alberta, and he was saying that they dipped to minus 46.
Ew. They can keep it.
Oh,
I don't want it.
that made my bones ache just hearing that number. And then with the wind chill, it was minus 55.
Jeez.
Burr. Just burr. I do not miss prairie winters at all. I will keep my nice, cozy East Coast. Thank you very much. So today we're going to be painting Vino Chianti. This is a neat piece. It involves a little bit of texture, some mostly washes of color, a little bit of floating, a little bit of line work and some fun stuff. Throw in a little bit of ink just for the heck of it. And of course, it's got to have some lettering because I do love having some lettering into things. So it's a unique piece because the original was in my first English language book. And I did that book with my mentor and a lady that we lost in the last couple of years ago, the incomparable Doxy Keller. She was a treat, an absolute treat. I worked with her at Deckwart, and I worked with her at a variety of shows. And then we decided we were going to do a book together. I was so intimidated because the woman was just miraculous. I had an endless source of creativity. She was amazing. And so this was one of the pieces that was in that book. The book was called Trendy Textures. Doxy and I had done it with the help of Deckwart using all of the new texture mediums that they had produced at the time. Sadly, most of them are no longer available. So I kind of had to rework this one a little bit with things that we already have on hand. And it worked out quite well, I think. I'm rather pleased with the end result. So we're going to have a little bit of fun with that. But before we start picking up brushes, we're going to talk about our giveaways today. So I have them all packaged and they're all labeled.
She doesn't know what's in them.
And I have no idea what's in them. I cannot for the life of me remember. I packed way too many envelopes this week, I think. So I have no idea what's in them. I do know that there's probably some Tombow goodies, and there's probably a stencil, and there's probably, some other stuff in there. And there might be some Dynasty brushes in there. We don't know. So I packed a lot of envelopes this week for giveaways, and I forgot what was in them. And I usually mark them, but I didn't this time. So your guess is as good as mine. It'll be a surprise to both of us when the winner gets it. So,
State of emergency in Buffalo.
oh my goodness. I know that some areas are really getting a ton of snow. Sandy Barton, morning from cold and snowy Provo, Utah. Hi, Sharon. Sharon is in Nova Scotia. I know you guys are supposed to be getting rain. I know we're getting nothing at the moment. We might be getting some snow, might be getting some freezing rain. Who knows? We're just going to play it by ear and find out. Nancy Ficardi, a little piece of siding blew off the peak over the front door. Rain, snow, mess right now. Marathon, New York. Good day to paint. I totally agree. I get up this morning, come downstairs. My husband Hal already had a fire on, so the house is nice and cozy. Yeah, it's going to be warm and cozy in here.
A little off topic, but I have a frozen chicken leg question. Do you remove the skin? No, leave it on. Skin is where all the taste is.
That's not a little off topic.
Just go way off topic.
It's a lot off topic, but that's okay.
It's okay. I'm happy to answer the question. Leave the skin
Oh my
on.
goodness, leave the skin on. Well, I have to agree because I like, if I'm gonna have drumsticks, I like the skin nice and crispy. So yeah, I would leave it on. It's also the part that's not the best for you, but I would leave it on.
And also, it's a dog question. So
Yeah, a segue would have been helpful.
just threw the turkey neck out for my pet fox.
Oh, cool.
Not cooked. Oh yeah, that fox will love
Love
you.
you. I was trying to talk cold. My cat walked on me. Okay.
I have frozen chicken leg. The rest of me is frozen too. The Edmonton area, seeing some cold weather.
Oh, somebody asked a question about the simplify pattern,
Oh,
and I missed it. I just caught a glimpse of it.
was it on Facebook?
YouTube.
Was it on YouTube?
Yep. Had the little bread box.
I have to set up my painting room again. No. Was it on YouTube?
Oh, Kathy Vanderpool. Oh, we can take care of that for you, hon. We'll just email it to you.
I didn't see.
It said it was fishing. Okay, let me guess. You have a Microsoft computer.
I don't.
There's something about the security on that Edge, is it? Microsoft Edge?
Yeah.
That it doesn't like e-packets for some
No.
unknown reason.
It doesn't like a lot of files.
Yeah, I've noticed that. So,
Janet Mills. Are those Canadian temperatures?
actually, they're the same. Once they hit minus 40, it's the same.
It's cold.
It's cold.
You just ignore it. Just don't look at the number anymore.
Yeah, it's just, you're better off not.
Yeah, the coldest I've experienced was minus 67. No.
Coldest I've ever experienced was minus 72.
Jeez. Whew. That was Winnipeg, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
It was so cold the doorknob was frozen on the inside of the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, burr. Mind you, that was with the wind chill, but it was still too freaking cold.
Mine was without.
Yeah.
Minus 62. Just past the Arctic Circle. Just past.
Just passed, yeah. Burr.
Friggin' cold.
Well, all this talk of cold weather is just making me cold.
Hot chocolate? Where's the hot chocolate?
I don't have hot chocolate. I have hot tea.
Also works.
I have hot tea. Yes.
Good morning.
So,
Karen Fox on Facebook. I can see both. Yay!
yep.
I don't know what I did, but I think I fixed it.
Well, we're going to get started on this one. This one is not a difficult paint by any stretch of the imagination. The most difficult part is doing that background. And when you see how easy it is, I'm going to tell you right now, it's like buttering toast. It's that simple. It's like buttering toast. So we are going to get started on our Vino Chianti. If he can push buttons.
I'm just praying to the technology gods that it works.
Okay. And it's not snowing on our downshot.
It's not snowing on your downshot.
Oh, yay! Look at that. Perfect. So I can check the screen there. Is it a still? Nope. There it is. Okay. I was just making sure. Oh, Marilyn Healy. Thank you for the stars.
What? When did that show up?
It just popped up on the screen here.
Where was it?
Thank you for the stars.
Did you guys want a chat box in this view or not? If you do, just let me know.
He's just got a new toy, so he wants to play with it.
Yeah, just got an update. Oh, there it is. Marilyn Healy.
Yep.
Send 100 stars.
So this is the surface. It's an 8x10. It can be an 8x10 canvas. In this case, I'm just using a small MDF panel. I love these because they're frameable. They're easy to work with. They're relatively inexpensive. It's an 8x10, so it's a standard size, and it works really well for framing it. So it looks great. Michael's every once in a while has those frame sales on, and I always buy the same size with an 8x10 opening, and the frame itself is 11x14, and they're perfect. And they usually have them a buy one get one type deal, so I end up getting 2 frames for $20, and I keep a bunch of them in the studio just for framing this type of thing because you can do some really cool things with it. So we're going with this MDF panel. You're going to need a wide blade palette knife, and I've decided to use gesso for this because, one, it's easy to work with, it's very easy to get, and it doesn't have to be that super thick one. This one is not. It's actually a little on the runny side. So we're going to use a small quantity of it on the palette knife, and we're going to put a very thin application of gesso on our surface. And we're going to, if you'll notice, I'm dragging my palette knife across the surface like so. I'm almost laying the blade flat on the surface.
Okay. Now, it looks like the consensus is they don't want a chat box during this shot.
Okie dokie.
Not a problem.
Just offering up options.
I understand people watch this full screen and it kind of gets rid of the whole chat, so they can't see what other people are talking about. And that's usually the reason why a lot of the other streamers put a chat box on the screen, so they can still see the chat scrolling through. And
so I'm going to cover about 90% of this surface. I don't want to cover it all because that thin layer, and I do mean thin, all those little open areas become part of the texture.
Did you seal the surface prior?
No, I did not.
Yeah. No surface prep?
Nope.
Just slap it on.
Just slap it on. Neatness doesn't count. Perfection is to be avoided at all costs. If it were ever true at any time, it's at this time. So we don't want this super thick. You don't need it heavy. We're just putting on a little bit. If it looks a little too heavy, just smooth it out a little. So, et voila. Now all of those little dots that you see in there, what looks like it's not a lot of texture, actually is going to create some really interesting textures in this piece. So that's about all we need to do. So I've got a lot of open areas in there, and that's great because it's going to help us create a lot more texture than you think. Now, another reason I chose to use gesso was this. It dries quickly. Love the pin you sent. Let's see. I love those buttons. We're getting low on them, so it'll soon be time to order them again. So this gesso actually dries very quickly. The other nice thing is it doesn't crack when you force it, as long as you don't hold the heat too close to it. But it dries very quickly. Now you could use modeling paste, you can use texture paste for this. You could use a wide variety of texture mediums to do this. The trick is to not put so much on that you end up with a really rough texture. It should actually feel like there's very little there.
Ooh, JL's got a good question.
Shoot.
What is the difference between MDF board and the one from the hardware store? The one from the hardware store is glossy and paint doesn't seem to absorb.
Well, there's different types of HDF. The one you're talking about is not MDF, it's HDF, which is high density fiberboard. And it has a slick finish.
Yeah, it's glue.
Yeah, it's glue. That's essentially it.
Yeah.
And that's a high density one. MDF is a medium density fiberboard. I like the HDF. Now, the one that I'm working on right now is called Fibrex, which is a medium density.
Is this the cracking paste or the texture paste?
This is gesso,
Straight up gesso.
just straight up gesso. Now, if you're using a gesso that's in the bottle, as long as it's not really liquidy, very watery, you can use it. So this is just about dry. I'm going to double check a couple of things. There's a little spot here, but
Curious. See what the stream looks like on YouTube.
Yep.
Oh, it's all pretty.
oh, I'm so glad it's pretty.
Well, I was worried about.
Hi, Barbara. She's joining us from Texas. Hopefully it's warmer there than it is up here. And Phyllis Freeman from Delaware.
Where do you buy MDF then?
You can also get it at Home Depot. Yeah.
We'll stay away from HDF.
You can just feel the difference of it. You'll know the minute you feel it. If it doesn't have that slick finish to it, then it's MDF. My little dryer. Actually, this is a great little rig. This is a Heat It craft tool. This one is made by Ranger. If you're looking for one, Sandy McTeer has them on her website. These are just the answer. I have two of them. One tries to set me on fire every once in a while, but this one works really well.
Didn't the last one try to electrocute you?
It did because I kept dropping it.
Ah.
So it doesn't like me anymore. I kept knocking it onto the floor, and eventually I ended up doing some damage, and it
Can this be done on insulated canvas?
yes, absolutely. You can do this on virtually anything. You can work on art panels. You can do this on stretch canvas, on canvas boards. I'm just using MDF because it's what I had on hand, and I really like this surface because it's nice and stable.
Ooh, there's a good one from Donna.
What's that?
Will MDF cut well on a scroll saw with a
Beautifully.
sharp blade?
Yep, sharp blade. It creates quite a bit of dust, but yes, works very well.
Sharp blade. It burns very easy.
Yeah.
Just to give you a heads up. Somebody
And
used
if you're
to.
looking for tips on cutting MDF with a scroll saw, talk to Sheila Landry.
Yeah. Don't ask her because she likes to set fire.
I did not set fire to it.
I remember
It
to.
smoked a little. Because the blade jammed.
It was either the motor burnt out or.
Oh, the motor. Yeah, the motor did burn out, actually.
Yeah.
I killed it.
And all the MDF dust underneath decided to smoke along with it.
It smoked a little. Jeez.
But yeah, ask Sheila Landry.
So the color that I'm going to use over top of this is light buttermilk. I like this color. Buttermilk was a little too yellow. I needed something a little softer. And so I went with light buttermilk. Now I'm going to use a sanding disc just to give this a light sanding. Just any little sharp bits that are standing up. Just knock them down a little. Also a good time to clean off the edges because I'm notorious for getting goop on the edges.
Greetings from a very cold and snowy Utah.
Greetings. Utah is beautiful.
Oh, I have no doubt.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So I'm just thinning out this light buttermilk with a little bit of water. And we're going to put a coat of light buttermilk over top of this gesso. And again, neatness doesn't count. Perfection is to be avoided at all costs. The reason I say that is because we are creating a textured finish. So if we made it nice and smooth, it would be counterproductive.
It's not hoarding if you need it.
It isn't hoarding. We need that stuff.
Jessica Killeran. Just to let you know. It's like, well, if you saw how many leashes and leads and dog training tools I have.
How many color pencils I have?
Yeah. Do you need that many?
Yes, absolutely.
I have one dog. I don't need 6 leashes. But yet I do.
Okay. So I'm just going to very quickly put a coat of light buttermilk over top of my gesso.
What were you using to thin?
Just water.
Just water.
Yep. I'm waiting on my shipment of Joe Sonia's Fast Dry.
Oh, you don't have any?
I haven't. I'm hoarding it a little bit.
You're rationing
I'm
it.
rationing it. That's the word. Yep.
Yeah.
Variety is the spice of life. I couldn't agree more, Rolene.
Maze is very quiet today. Maze is with my dad.
She was not quiet this morning.
No, she was quite active this morning.
I'm going to put a little more on.
She seems to be more of a morning dog than I thought.
Yep. She has a ton of energy first thing in the morning.
But she sleeps like a rock. That dog does not move throughout the night.
Well, unless, of course, it's to chew up your beard comb.
Where did you find your sanding discs?
You know what? I've had those ones for years. They are difficult to find.
I gotta turn you up. You're getting a little quiet.
Nobody has ever accused me of that.
What, being quiet?
Yeah.
I meant from a technical standpoint.
Okay. There we go. So,
Does she play hard with Airy? A little hard, yes. She does like to play with the cat.
yeah,
Um,
Gizmo doesn't like to be played with.
and they don't play with each other.
Oh, yes, they do.
Yeah, kinda. But Maze plays a little rough with the cat.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stop and go, because we're worried that she might hurt the cat.
Just not intentionally, but
Yeah. Just got to curb the excitement a little bit.
Yeah.
But she is also almost 5 months old.
yeah,
Jeez.
I know.
And she's at least 42 pounds.
Yeah.
Has to be.
Oh, yeah. Donna Sicardo from Texas.
Texas.
Welcome. So this is our base. Now, right now, it just looks like a whole bunch of cream color, little bit of visual texture. We're going to elevate that texture a little bit. It's not quite dry. And the color I'm going to use for that is honey brown. We kind of want sort of a raw sienna look, but the raw sienna was a little dark, so I decided to go with the honey brown. I didn't want this to get too dark.
I'm going to start zooming in. There. Oh,
So-
perfect.
I'm
That's
going to use a little bit of honey brown, and I'm going to make a high-tech applicator. Maybe, if I can get it off of there. There we go. So my high-tech applicator is a sheet of shop towel, and I'm going to tear it into quarters. And I'm going to make a little pillow, and I'm going to tuck it inside the other quarter until I get this. Nice little applicator. Applicator. Now, I'm going to wet that with just a little bit of water. You want it wet but not dripping. And I'm going to pick up a fairly generous amount of raw sienna. And this is where you're going to start seeing the texture. So I start at the outer edge and I work in a circular fashion.
love the high-tech applicator.
Well, you know, if it works, it works.
Oh, poor Robin Storm. Gizmo refluxed
Aw.
all down the front of my shirt.
Oh no. Poor Robin.
I think she's
Robin
still.
has been under the weather all week.
Yeah, I think she's still waiting on his chair.
Yeah.
I don't know if she got it yet. Last
Poor
time I
Bubba
heard,
dog.
she ordered it. I don't know if she got it yet.
The poor Bubba dog. Poor little Gizmo. So, remember that tiny bit of texture that we put on? This is where you really start to see that texture. And it looks far more textured than it actually is. So when you run your hand over it, it's still a relatively smooth surface, but it has all of this great movement in it, all of these really interesting textures and high points and low points. Now you'll notice that I'm leaving the center. I'm kind of working from the outside in towards the center. The reason for that is I would like the center to be a little bit lighter than everything else. That doesn't mean I want it white, but I want it a little lighter. So I have Color Galore on here. Now look at all of that texture. So it becomes a bit more uniform. So these areas here, what looks like a fairly coarse patch of texture, and these little bits in here and in here, these are the areas that were left blank. Those are the areas that were just the original background peeking through. Now you can take your little high-tech applicator at this point, and
Yep,
I'm going
there
to
she is.
turn it inside out. Yeah, she's awake. No doubt about that. I'm going to turn it inside out. And we're going to grab a little bit of asphaltum. I love this color. I know, big surprise. Everybody's shocked. And I'm going to use that high-tech applicator. And I'm going to pick up a fairly generous amount of it. I'm going to dry this really quick, make sure it's nice and dry. And this is going to really make this texture pop, but we want it to pop towards the outside edge. There we go. So I've got a little bit of asphaltum on that wet applicator. And I'm going to go around the outside edge with that asphaltum. Don't panic. I'm using a very light touch. I'm washing the baby's face, not scrubbing the kitchen floor. So you don't have to work hard to get that nice dark edge. And you can do it without getting a bar around there. So I go circular fashion, gently at the edge, and then I go back in the other direction, and that softens it so I don't get swirls in it. So I'm going to dry this really quickly. This creates such an interesting texture. I love the look of this. So bring it a little closer so you guys can. So by putting that darker brown on there, it just accentuates that texture a little bit. So if I take my applicator without any paint on it, it's just a little bit of water, and I gently rub in a few places, it will take some of the color off the highest point of that texture, and it just creates a little bit more contrast. Just a little bit more. And so those textures become a little sharper, a little more defined. And so it looks like you've got a ton of texture on there, that it should be really rough, but it really isn't. And I'll do a little bit more here. So I'm just gently rubbing. As I said, I'm not scrubbing the kitchen floor, I'm washing the baby's face. So, and I've got a spot here that's a little too light. So I'm going to put a little more of that honey brown in there. Just a little. And circular fashion, I change directions frequently. So there is our textured background. So that little piece of MDF now looks like an old piece of plaster or stonework. It has all kinds of nifty little bits of texture in it. These little tiny deposits. Remember what I call chatter. Those little dry bits that sort of came off the blade create some really interesting textures in the background. And again, all of these darker areas that you see here, these are all of the original surface peeking through. So if you covered up everything, you would essentially just be creating yet another surface and you would lose a lot of that interest. So it's a really good idea to leave those small open areas. So when I say about 90% of the surface, leave a good 10% of it just that raw background. And it just creates a really pretty surface. Now, if you want to, you can darken this even further at the outside edge if you really like that that dark rustic appearance. You can always come back in with more color. There's nothing to stop you. You can add layer upon layer upon layer if you want to. You can make it as dark or as light as you want. So this is a super easy method of creating lots of visual texture, but quite honestly, there's very little from a tactile standpoint. So if I hold it sideways, there's very little there. It's still quite a smooth surface. Hi, Diane. Yes, the gesso was applied with a palette knife in very thin overlapping layers, and then we leave some open areas with the original surface showing. This is such a fun and it's a very interesting background. It's a great substrate for all sorts of subject matter. I like it in particular for, wine themes and whatnot, but you can do all kinds of things. Florals look spectacular over top of this. And this can be done with any variety of colors. I went with a more natural tone using that honey brown and the browns to keep it nice and warm and keep a sort of that Tuscan feel to it. But this works with grays. It works with blues. You can create all sorts of interesting backgrounds with this. If you try this on with reds, it's rich, looks like old leather. It's just a gorgeous finish. So just changing up the color palette will give you a whole different look. So it's an easy one. You can embellish on top of that as well by using stencils. So you can add a stencil design, which we're going to do. You can add a stencil design to the background using the asphaltum, or you can do it using the gesso and just repeat this whole process again. We're going to use a little bit of paint for that. So I have my surface prepped and my image already traced on. And here we go. So this is a pretty simple design. It's not that elaborate, and the painting technique we're using is really simple. As for brushes, you don't need to have a ton. I'm going to use my favorites. We're going to use a nice big filbert. And then, of course, we have to have a nice angled shader handy. If I can find a clean one. There we go. Ones I'm using today are these ones. These are Dynasty Water Lily. These are originally a watercolor brush, but they work perfectly for acrylics.
Would Joe Sonia's texture paste be too thick for this background?
No, you could use Joe Sonia's texture paste. Just make sure that your application is really thin. You can even thin that out a little bit, throw a little bit of water in it. It will work. Almost any texture medium will work just fine for this. So we're going to start with this background here. Now, remember I said I wanted it fairly light towards the center of the panel, and this is why. I want this area to be the light impact point, for the light is coming in this direction, so it's going to strike the wall in behind this, and this is why I wanted this lighter in that center, because I want these elements to stand out. The nice part is that if it isn't light enough, we can always make it a little bit lighter using just a little bit of paint. So we're going to start with our Chianti bottle.
Ooh.
And the color I chose to use is a little bit of plantation pine.
So, Robin Storm's, I think, daughter or son?
They had a pile of puppies yesterday?
Yeah. Delivered by C-section.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there must have been a complication.
Or a lot of puppies.
8 is, yeah, a fair bit.
Yeah. So I have thinned out some plantation pine with a fair amount of water. We want this paint quite transparent. So don't be shy, thin it out. And we're going to use that thinned plantation pine to base our bottle. And I will tell you now that this whole thing is done with these thinned colors.
€75 for 250 sheets of what? Like palette paper? €250? Or €75
For palette paper?
for palette paper?
Patrick, next care box I send, send you some palette paper. Certain things are horrendously expensive in Europe. Certain things. Other things, not so much. Having lived there for many years.
For Scott towels? 250 sheets of Scott towels?
Scott towels. Paper towel? Or shop towel?
I think you meant shop towels. €75? That's ridiculous.
It is. So I've got a thin layer of this plantation pine. Don't worry about the graphite lines. Seriously, don't worry about them. So we're just putting in washes of that plantation pine
For shop towels.
for shop towels.
That's
Wow,
$110 for 250 sheets.
that's ridiculous.
Meanwhile, Becca. 200 sheets for $3.
Yeah.
It's probably those blue lint-free shop towels,
Like those.
like those.
Yeah.
Still €75?
Well, if it's something that has to be imported, if it's not made locally, yeah, that's...
There's got to be an alternative.
Sure there is. You ask your friend in Canada to send you shop towels.
Yeah, it's 110 Canadian dollars for
Yeah.
250
sheets of shop towel.
Yeah, no.
I use so much of it, I'd go broke. The other thing I use is those microfiber cloths that come in a box.
Oh, the microfiber rags?
Yeah, they work really well. So I love doing this in layers because you can get that color nice and deep. There we go. I think that's dark enough.
Okay, now I'm not getting Facebook again.
So plantation pine for the bottle. We want all of that texture to work in our favor, so we're not going to bury it. And besides, it's glass. Now, we have a label on this bottle of Chianti. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to thin out some light buttermilk. And we're going to put a wash of that light buttermilk. My graphite paper doesn't like the white paint. There we go. It's just a wash. Don't worry about it being opaque. It doesn't need to be.
Not a fan of microfiber.
Oh, I hate the feel of it.
That's when I find out how dry my skin is.
I know. I hate the feel of microfiber. There we go. So I've got just a wash of thinned light buttermilk on the label. And I'm working right over the graphite lines. They're going to disappear anyway, so I'm not too worried about them. Nice part is, because it's thinned, I can still see my graphite lines, so I don't have to trace again. Okay. So our next color for this wine bottle is this. It's black green. And we're going to thin this out as well. So a little bit of water. I'm going to thin this color out quite heavily. We want control of it. And we're going to shade little float. It's loose, very watery color. And we're going to put that color in behind those berries, fruit, olives, grapes, whatever you want to call them. There we go. So I'm using just really loose floats of this color. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're just deepening the color in behind all those grapes and then we're going to bring that shadow up the side. And underneath the lip of the bottle. Like so. Nice little float. And then there's a nifty little shadow in the mouth of that bottle, and it's just a little float of that black green. So we're going to dry this, and then we're going to repeat those shadows. We want to get them nice and deep. But this one is all layers of transparent color, so it's easy. Hi, Donna. Your name came up a couple of weeks ago. All of the prizes have been shipped out. The mail has been horrendously slow.
Yeah. We got a few surprise packs for today.
Yeah. So, and deep in the shadow again, up the neck of the bottle. So this is the fun part.
Oh, hello from Long Island.
From Long Island. Hi, Kathy. Long Island.
Is it necessary to use the dryer?
No.
No.
If you want it to just take your time and let it dry, we do have a time constraint, so I have to.
We don't
kinda
want to be
speed
here all
things-
day.
I don't want to, kind of get speed things up a little bit here,
Yeah,
but it's all good.
2.5 hour, 3 hour stream turns into 6,
Yeah.
7, 8 hours. If we were just sitting here chatting and waiting for paint to dry.
Exactly.
The heated tool speeds things up.
Yes, it does. And I use my heated tool even when I'm not on, so because I'm impatient. So I'm going to float the bottom of the label and in behind those leaves with a little bit of heavily thinned asphaltum.
Oh, we need a translator.
Why?
Because I know it says, hola.
Hola, saludos, greetings from Argentina. Something about color.
Yeah.
So we've got little houses here. So I'm going to use a float of asphaltum in behind the houses and in behind those trees, like so. Just like that. Just so that we can see some texture back there. We can see the shape of the house.
You all need to stand out on the street corner saying, we'll work for surgeries for our pets.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. It's another industry that needs to be,
Regulated.
I wouldn't say regulated, but monitored.
Yeah.
Because there's, at least in Canada, there's a fixed rate on pet things.
Yeah. They do have some element of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we also understand that animals require very specific instruments and
Yeah.
diagnostic tools.
Yeah.
So,
As do humans, but the costs are extraordinary in both cases. So.
found out how much a CT scan for a dog costs.
Yep.
That's ridiculous.
So I've got all my shading in that little house, in that little landscape done. I'm going to grab my liner brush and I'm going to thin out a little bit of asphaltum. Now, if you don't want to do this with a brush, you can always do it with a pen. But I'm just going to sketch out with my liner brush the details of this little landscape. Now, that is not to say that you have to make it perfect, because you really don't. This is a very simple line drawing. It's meant to look like it was just sketched on there. So don't overthink it.
Maze doesn't need a CT, does she? No, Dot got one early in her diagnostics
Process, yeah.
During her diagnostic process, she required a CT scan, and yeah, well,
Just a little shy of $7,000.
yeah, it's not cheap.
And we didn't have pet insurance at the time, so it was a little expensive.
I could send you a detailed vet bill on Gizmo. I wish.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
We've been there and done that.
Yeah. $4,000 for a cataract surgery on a Shih Tzu.
Yep.
Yeah, small animal.
And the smaller they are, the more expensive it is. I've discovered.
Was that a full body CT? Yes. They when they do a CT scan for animals, it's full body regardless.
Well, and it was also expensive because we had to take her to a specialist 3 hours away.
Yeah. Which she
So-
turned out to not be much help.
Yeah. So essentially, we found out what was causing the problem and there was no solution.
$15,000 per hip. Hip dysplasia. Yep.
Oh my God.
Or a $1,200 wheelchair.
2 of them.
First one wasn't $1,200.
No, $750.
It was $750.
Yeah.
That was the cheap Amazon one.
Yeah, it was $750.
And you know what? It worked.
Hey, it did the job.
It worked. She liked it. She was comfortable.
Yeah.
She got to get moving again.
Yeah.
I wanted to get her something a little bit more rugged and
Yep.
easier to adjust.
Yep.
Because the first one was not easy to adjust.
No, it was not. But it did the job
Yeah.
for the first little bit. So,
With the second one, I still have I still have both of them.
yep.
So if anyone in the chat has a medium-sized dog, medium to large-sized dog, that has hind leg issues or hip dysplasia or has trouble walking or is just old
And needs.
and needs a wheelchair, let me know. I can help you out.
So, I got my little landscape done with a liner brush. I'm going to float in a little bit here and there just to deepen a few shadows.
Where do you buy the paint dryers?
You can get them from Sandy McTeer, has them on her website. And if Sandy happens to be out of stock, you can get them at cdwood.com.
Is insurance cheaper? Yes.
Yep.
I wish I had insurance for Dot.
Yeah.
I got insurance afterwards.
Yeah. For other health issues.
Yeah. And for $60 a month and full coverage.
Yeah.
And I think it's 90% coverage.
Yep.
Yeah. 90% coverage. That's what I got Maze.
Yep.
You cover 10% plus your deductible.
Yep.
And that's it. The rest is taken by the insurance company.
Yep.
Worth it.
Yep.
Worth every penny.
Yep. Especially if, just for the peace of mind alone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Especially surprise stuff, because Dot's thing was an absolute surprise. Would have never seen it coming.
Nope.
Had I caught it earlier, or had the insurance earlier,
Yep.
a lot of the diagnostic stuff would have been taken care of.
So, we have our little landscape painted. And it's just outlining and floats. That's it. It's little shadows. There's nothing much to it. Towards the end, I will be using a gel pen. I'll go in and I'll strengthen this and perhaps add a few little details to it. But you really don't have to. That's as elaborate as it needs to be. The only other thing that I will do is I like to add a little squiggly, sketchy line around the outside of the label. You can do that with anything, a pen. You can do it with a paint pen. If you want to take a brush loaded with a little bit of paint, you can do it that way. I'm a fan of the pen. I just like the way it looks. So we have a label. Now, I like to come in and tone some of these shadows. So I'm going to take a little bit of asphaltum, which is that dark brown that we used. And I'm just going to bring a little of that in over those shadows. It's very loose. Neatness doesn't count. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just toning that shadow a little bit. Et voila. Easy, easy.
What did Dot have? She had degenerative myelopathy. It's a genetic condition. Basically, the shroud around the spinal cord gets eaten away by a certain healing protein. And it just...
Yeah.
She hurt her back. it progressed. It got worse. It got worse. It got worse, and then
And then she became
immobile.
immobile. And then it continues to progress, and there's ascending and descending.
Yeah.
And hers initially was descending, and then as time went by, it started ascending, which meant she was going to start developing kidney issues and liver issues and stomach issues and
Breathing.
breathing issues.
That's where it hit first. Was
Yeah.
breathing.
Yeah, she would get winded so easy.
Yeah.
So it was time, as much as it just killed us. She was not going to get better. So here we have our bottle. So I think it's time we start working on some of the stuff towards the foreground. I'm going to grab the color that I use for the leaves is this. It's antique green.
I've gotten better at saying that word.
What?
Degenerative myelopathy.
Well, it's a mouthful. So I'm using a little bit of antique green. I'm going to grab a round brush. And again, this color is thinned out. It's not a super opaque green anyway, but it doesn't need to be for our purposes.
Yep. Diabetes exam for a dog is not cheap either.
Good heavens.
And neither is the medication.
It's not cheap for anybody, dog or no.
Renee, do you prefer female dogs? I do, actually. Now they're going to ask why.
Yeah.
I find them more tenacious. They're a little bit more...
Driven?
They usually have a higher drive, but they usually have a higher protection instinct.
Yeah.
Especially in mouths, as we've seen.
Yes.
What's the other one? I'm thinking of the word. Easiest way to put it. They have a very I want to please you attitude.
Yeah.
That's their goal for the day, is just, I want to make you happy, and I will do everything in my power to make you happy.
Yeah.
I have
Unless
two
it goes
female
back.
dogs. They don't lift their legs. They shouldn't.
They're females.
That's a male aspect.
So the grape leaves I've based with a little bit of that thinned antique green, and I'm going to do the same thing to the olive leaves. That's those elongated leaves that stick up here and there. And again, don't worry about those graphite lines.
Hyperthyroidism?
Hyper or hypo?
Hyper.
Hyper.
So is that like high blood? No, that's...
Hyperthyroidism means their thyroid runs hot, runs high, and it makes it difficult for them to keep weight on, gain weight, causes a variety of issues, hair falling out, things like that. At least it does in humans. So looky there, we've got leaves. Now the grapes are going to be Tuscan red, but there's some olives here, and these guys are going to get that green as well. So there's a whole bunch of green stuff in here, and the olives get based green. And there's an olive tucked back here behind the cheese.
How old is Gizmo? It's not quite a year. Is
Yeah.
he, Robin Storm's
Yeah, I think he'll be a year in spring.
year in the spring. Hey, he's a late bloomer then. Usually, when male dogs start lifting their leg, that means they're going through puberty.
Yeah. So we also have cheese here, and the cheese is going to get a coat of thinned light buttermilk. Remember the color we used for that? So we're going to put a coat of that in there. And again, neatness doesn't count.
Ah. Technology gods aren't with us today.
Why? What's that?
I'm trying to mute my microphone.
Oh. Did you mute mine?
No, it's not muting anybody's.
Oh, okay. So it's just not working.
It's just not working. Why aren't you working?
So there we go. We have cheese grommet.
Cheese.
And it's one coat of thinned light buttermilk. If I hold this up to screen, you can see the line drawing right through it. It is not fully opaque.
Wondering what's for dinner.
Dinner tonight, we are having leftovers. We have
Anything
some
and everything.
pasta left over. We have butter chicken left over. So we're going to use one of my favorite reds. I love this one. This is Tuscan Red. This one is so highly saturated. This one's a blue red, so it tends to be a little on the cooler side, which balances this nicely with all of those greens and yellows and golds and whatnot. So we need this cooler tone. So I've got a little bit of Tuscan Red, and we're going to thin this out as well.
Ooh. Tuscan Red.
Tuscan Red. It's a very rich and highly saturated red, and we're going to
Boom.
paint all the leaves that color, or all of the grapes, bunny leaves.
What is this? Raffin never lifted his leg. Is Raffin neutered? And when did you get him neutered? Because yeah, probably got it before puberty. Which is good. That means he doesn't have any marking habits.
Yeah,
He doesn't go around marking things.
that would be uncomfortable in a home.
Mine squats and lifts one leg so it doesn't get wet.
I caught one of those videos the other day. People are taking pictures of videos of their dog going out in the snow. And one lady has a Chihuahua that really doesn't like peeing in the snow. And it literally is peeing and walking on its front legs at the same time.
Yeah.
I thought, how the hell does that work? So I've put one thin coat of heavily thinned Tuscan Red over all of the grapes. I just treat it like one large patch. You can see the line drawing right through it, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And then I've got a small cluster of grapes on this side as well. I love this red. This red is just yummy. And it works really nicely.
Somebody I can't. It's moving quick. Replacement for margarita if they don't have it, I think is what the question was.
Try Sprout. Sprout will work. So we'll match a green. You just need a high yellow green. It doesn't matter which one it is. And then we're going to use that same Tuscan Red for the wine in the glass.
Oh, poor Linda. It's apparently 50 degrees in her studio. It's too cold to paint. So I'm just watching.
Oh my goodness.
50. She's Louisiana.
Yeah. Well, that Arctic outflow is going all the way to Texas.
Is it? Ooh.
You're welcome.
Enjoy. Meanwhile, we got above zero weather here
Yeah, which is like unheard of.
for this time.
So, I have Tuscan Red in the wine glass. I love that I can see all of the textures through that.
There you go.
What? What?
It's snowing.
Is it?
Not enough.
Not nearly.
But
I
it's
want
snowing.
like blizzard conditions.
I have to go to work.
I still want blizzard conditions.
Uh,
Northern Oklahoma City or Edmond area had earthquakes last night. I saw something about that. Like a 4.5 or something, or a 4.2.
oh, and it's a damp cold.
Ew.
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah, it's gross. It's minus 47 in Edmonton. It sucks here.
I do not miss prairie winters.
No,
No.
neither do I. You can keep it. You can stay
Hi,
over
Floy. She's late getting here. Is the pattern available? Yes, it is, and it's called Vino Chianti. So I know that some of you have seen what we're painting next Saturday. We are painting winter cardinals. A little series of ornaments. I think they're really cute, and they're fun, and they're an easy paint. We had 96 ornaments, and they are all gone. They disappeared so fast, it was not funny. Kind of surprised me. I wasn't expecting them to go that fast. I do have lots more ordered. They are going to be on their way, so we should have them very, very soon.
Yeah, you knew that question was coming up.
Yeah, I did. In the meantime, paintingwithdeb.com has them on her website. At least they should be up. She's going to put them up there today. She's the one that's cutting them for me. So she's going to have them up on her website. So if you don't want to wait, we do have them back ordered on my site, but if you don't want to wait, you can always go to paintingwithdeb.com and you can find them there. The pattern is available on my website. And as I said, we do have them back ordered on the website. So if you kind of like a wait list, I guess, if you want them, then of course the back orders get filled first. So they are super cute, I have to admit.
What's that?
The little cardinals, they're cute.
Is that these?
Yep, that's
Yeah.
them.
Oh, you got another set over there?
I don't even know where I put them.
They're right there.
Where?
Right there.
Where?
Right beside your iPad.
No, the painted ones.
Oh.
I had them here. Bob Schmeichel, Sally Sherrant. I knew I had them here somewhere. I kept them. So this is what we're painting next Saturday. And these little guys are a fun paint. There's nothing difficult about them.
Oh. So Diane Hendricks has got it made.
Oh, does she?
Yeah, I am fortunate when it comes to dog care. My daughter went to UC Davis,
She's a vet?
and I specialized in critical care.
Wow.
Yeah. And her husband met her husband while at school and is a general vet.
Oh, nice.
Awesome.
That's convenient. Helpful. So, yeah, these are the winter cardinals. They're a nice size ornament too. They're 4x5. They're not super big, but they are fun to paint. So I'm really looking forward to doing this next Saturday. They are a lot of fun.
Those are some chubby cardinals.
Well, you know,
They're
they're
winter-
prairie cardinals. They poof up when it gets cold.
Yeah, and they are a winter bird.
And they are a winter bird, yes. Well, at least they are here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't see them much during the summer.
No, we don't see them at all during the summer, but we do see them in the wintertime. Fall and winter is when we see these little guys. I love these little guys. I just think they're fun. So that's what we're doing next Saturday.
It's -8 with a wind chill of -11, western Missouri.
Burr. So we're going to start building up all of this piece. And we're going to start with these leaves in the background. And I'm going to pick up a little bit of plantation pine. And again, thinned. Have to thin these colors. So we're going to shade the leaf in behind, like so, and then down that center vein with that plantation pine.
And the cardinals everywhere in Georgia.
Because we don't see a lot of them here, I wasn't familiar with how they sound. But I did not know that they can mimic.
Cardinals can mimic?
They can mimic. I didn't know that.
Just reminded me.
I did not know that. And I was in Kentucky. I was at Decor headquarters, getting ready for a show. And I kept hearing this sound as I'd be walking across the parking lot towards the building. And it sounded like somebody's car alarm. And there was no car in the parking lot that was indicated that it was having an issue with its alarm. But it turns out it was a cardinal that was mimicking the sound. And he was in a tree across the street. It took me a while to figure out where it was coming from. But, yep. I had no idea that they could do that. That was news to me.
Just remind me of that video. Hey, look! Is that a mockingbird? Is that a mockingbird? Is that a mockingbird? Hey, yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's a mockingbird. So I'm going to deepen that shading a little bit with a second float. There we are. I kind of like the deeper color. I like that deep, rich green. There we go.
Really? Cardinals can live that long? My aunt had a pet cardinal that lived for 20 years.
Under ideal conditions? No. Maze is trying to get in through the cat door. It's getting a little snug. So I'm going to shade the base of the olive leaves with a little U-shaped float of the black green. Just like that. And it's just at the base where it would join the stem. And I'm going to do that to all of those leaves. Just a little U-shaped float. Nothing fancy, nothing extreme. So we've got, I missed an olive. Little U-shaped float. Now, the whole premise behind this is to allow all of that texture back there to do a lot of the work for you. So all we're really doing is changing the value of some of these colors and letting the texture create the rest of it. I'm just going to deepen this a little bit. There we go. There. Now, I've got a little bit of margarita. I really love this green. I love the color of it, the tone of it, everything. But I'm going to grab a little bit of Sprout. Because someone had asked. Someone had asked about what color they could substitute for it. This is Sprout. This is margarita. the difference is negligible. And for the amount that we're going to use on this one, it really isn't going to make a huge difference. So I'm going to use a little bit of Sprout just so you can see that it's going to work. So again, I'm thinning out the colors. I like to make sure these colors are, that's a little too thin, too much water and not enough paint. There we go. So I'm just putting a little bit in here just to lighten the value on the highlight side. Now that Sprout is a little on the transparent side, so it works really well for this. Doesn't need to be a strong highlight either. So on the points, on the highlight side of the leaves, remember these are all very loose and imperfect. They do not have to be perfect. I'm going to switch to a smaller angled shader. I'm going to switch to a 3/8. And we're going to put a highlight on the tip of those olive leaves. Remember these ones here where we put the highlight at the base? Going to put a float of that brighter green at the tip of the leaf. Super simple. And again, don't overthink it. These do not have to be perfect by any stretch of the imagination. As long as there is a change in value, that's all we really need. There we go. And I like that brighter yellow green. It actually ties really nicely into this, because there's a lot of yellows in this piece. There we go. And part of the fun about this piece is that no part of it is absolutely perfect. We're not really looking for perfect. It is a textured surface with textures everywhere. So it isn't one of those pieces where you have to have everything just so. Crisp, clean, solid, perfect lines are not going to happen in this piece. So nice, loose little highlights, nothing over the top. Don't worry too much. So we have, remember the olives? We're going to shade those next. We're going to use a little bit of soft black. This is a great color, soft black. It's an ideal shading color for reds. When you want a really deep, dark shadow for reds, soft black will do it for you. So I'm going to pick up, for these olives, a little bit, just a little bit of soft black. I'm going to thin it out a little bit because I don't really want it full strength. And we're going to shade the olives with that soft black. And I'm going to leave a little bit of that antique green showing. So I'm going to shadow there. Because they're olives, there's a little bit of green showing. Here we go. And I have to fix this olive back here because I neglected it when we were base coating. So I'm going to put a little antique green back here because I forgot to do it. And we're going to dry that real quick. And then we're going to make a really interesting shading color for our grapes and for that wine. How do I store my paint bottles? I actually use a paint cabinet. I have pantry cabinets for the paint that I don't use on the regular. So all of that stuff is stored and out of way. I have a spinner rack that holds my paint. And then I usually have a small nail polish rack that holds the paint that I'm using on the day. Just because it helps keep it out of my way. Of course, I did not do that this morning, so I have paint bottles all over the place. So, we're going to use that soft black, and I'm going to pick up a little bit of that Tuscan red, and I'm going to brush mix it into that soft black until I get a really deep burgundy tone. And I'm going to use that burgundy tone to shade the wine at the base of the glass. So it essentially gives you like a deep purplish red in here. And so that red gets that deep purpley tone down there. I'm going to make a little bit more of it here. I didn't make enough. There we go. So it's going to have that really deep, dark, purpley red tone to it. And we're going to do about 1/3 of that wine. So the lower third of that bottle, that glass.
Puzzle time for the puppy.
And then we're going to put a float of that black along the top edge, just like that. Now that brush mixture is what we're going to shade all of these grapes with. So the first thing you're going to do is start separating them, like so.
Regina Taylor. Oh, yeah. Helps if I... Oh, my microphone's been on this whole time. Okay. A nail polish rack, apparently?
Yes. I got mine off of Amazon. Just a second. I have an empty one sitting here because I didn't use it today.
You want me to switch cameras?
No, I just do it here.
Yeah.
So this is what I mean by a nail polish rack. And then I can have all of the paint that I'm using in a given painting session. They're just the perfect fit. So I can have them on my painting table. And that way I don't end up with a bazillion bottles all over the table like I did today. So these were inexpensive. I think they were about $14 on Amazon. They're fantastic. And it's just a little elevated rack. Works like a hot damn. And I have a little wheeled cart. And I keep one of those in the top of the wheeled cart so that...
Is that the one Aries keeps stealing stuff out of?
Yes.
Ah.
Aerie does like... She's a thieving little thing. She's lucky she's cute. And she's frippin' adorable.
Hummingbirds are very mean to each other?
What?
Okay. It's a weird conversation direction.
So I'm using that soft black Tuscan red mix. It's about a 1-to-1. So it's just going to separate.
That makes sense now. Cardinals, birds, hummingbird.
Oh, okay.
I was, not paying attention again.
So this is just an easy way to separate all those grapes. And it doesn't have to be perfect.
I keep getting advertisements from Walmart showing me paint racks that turn.
I have one.
Yeah.
I love mine. They're not easy to find these days.
Lost your feed for a short time? What? Let me check the health.
So when you're putting the shadow on the grapes on the backside, the right side of the grape, you're going to come in just a scooch from the edge. Leave a little narrow space like so.
We doing good.
So when you're shading all of these grapes on the right side, you're going to leave that little narrow space.
Deb, you're an angel.
Which Deb?
Daneker. Her and Raffin.
It's Miss Deb. She's a
How old is
sweetheart.
Maze now? She's going on 5 months old.
She's a holy terror.
And what was this? We'll be sending Christmas gifts from Raffin. He can't remember crap. Okay. How is that pup doing? Pup is in the garage doing a puzzle right now.
Which puzzle? The push button?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trapdoor.
Trapdoor puzzle. Gotta keep that puppy's brain occupied. If she's not occupied, she gets into trouble.
Yep. Already? Yes, already. I picked her up on the 26th of October. She was already 8 weeks old. So that puts her at 2 months.
Yeah.
And then November, December, January.
So I'm going to bring this up to the camera a little closer so that you can see what I'm talking about. There is that little narrow space. It doesn't have to be much, just a tiny sliver of the original base color.
Oh.
It just helps give the grapes a little bit of a transparent appearance, as if light is passing through them. And it helps them look a little bit more spherical when we put highlights and everything in. So we have a couple over here that we have to do. So we're going to separate them first, because I like to separate, lift and separate. What was that from?
I have no idea.
Lift and separate. Never mind. You would never get it. It was a bra commercial in the 70s and 80s. Had to lift those puppies and separate them. Now
Okay.
they buy bras that sort of smashes them but together and makes one good one.
Playtex.
Latex. There we go.
Yep. Well, bras.
Bras.
It's
Yep.
just all-
See, all women know. So again, I'm going to shade on the right, just a semicircle, just slightly in from the edge. And again, it just creates that little bit of a spherical. Got away from him, didn't ya?
Hey, miss. What are you doing? Hi. Hello. You escaped.
She escaped.
I don't know
So-
what you got. What'd you get?
We're going to come over here to this cheese. I know everybody's saying the same thing. Really? Cheese? So, get out of there. I'm using a color called Warm Sunset, which is sort of a reddish orange tone. And we're going to thin this out. We don't want these colors full strength. So, and we're going to shade our cheese. So there, and then
I no.
into those holes. I guess this is Swiss cheese or some holy cheese.
Well, I have a 4-month-old Belgian Malinois that snuck through the
The cat door.
cat door again. You know, you're not gonna fit through that when you.
She's going to get stuck one of these days.
It's gonna be hilarious.
It is going to be. So
just lay there and behave? That'd be appreciated. Still finding things to chew on.
she'll locate something she's not supposed to have. I cleaned this studio from one end to the other this week. She still managed to find things she wasn't supposed to have. So I'm going to deepen the shading on my cheese right here and inside those little divots with a float of thinned asphaltum. Doesn't have to be much, just a little float. And then we're going to add a little yellow tinge to that. We're going to use this. This is yellow ochre. I didn't want a bright yellow. I needed something a little more earthy, so I'm using a little bit of yellow ochre for this. If I can get it out of the bottle. I don't know why this color, no matter what brand, yellow ochre is always super thick. So a little bit of yellow ochre. I'm going to blend that out, and we're going to put that yellow on the top edge of the cheese. It's a loose, wet float. Don't overthink it. Just let that color run out. There we go. And a little float of it on the edges of those holes. So again, very wishy-washy, sloppy and imperfect. It's going to give our cheese a nice cheesy look. Et voila. We have cheese. So before we start working on that wine glass, I want to build some shadows in here. So I'm going to use a little bit of asphaltum, and it's going to be a little stronger than I usually use it. And if you can't get it dark enough, you can always pick up a little bit of that soft black. But I want to put a nice little float, oops, of asphaltum right here along the edge of the cheese. Underneath my olives, I want a nice little float along the bottom of that wine glass. Just want to make this a little darker. There we go. And then I'm going to take a little bit of that soft black because I'm not getting as dark a shadow as I'd like. There we go. A little darker under here. There. There we go. So just deepen all of those shadows a little bit. There we are. And I'm going to dry that. And I kept the bulk of the highlighting towards the end for a purpose, because we're going to do this wine glass, but at the same time, we're going to do all of these grapes so that we get that nice slick look. So I'm going to switch to a smaller angled shader, and we're going to thin out some of that light buttermilk. And I'm going to put a float along the edge of that wine glass, just like that. Now I'm sticking the bulk of this float towards the left. I'm going to do the same thing across the top of the wine glass. And on the inside at the top on the back rim. Little float. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Whoops. I'm going to try to keep the white off of the wine. I don't want too much of it on there. Not just yet, anyway. There we go. So, not super complex. So I'm going to use that same bit of light buttermilk to put the highlights on my grapes. And again, I'm coming in just slightly from the edge of the grape. And it's heavily thinned. I'm not using this color full strength.
Is there a Deb Antoniuk in there?
I don't know.
She caffeinated?
I hope so.
Caffeinated and ready to people?
So if you have any questions about the cardinals, I don't know if she's got them up on her site yet. She's also got some really cute kits on her site right now. If you're looking for some really fun and interesting and simple, easy projects, go and check out paintingwithdeb.com. Like I said, it's going to be probably later in the week before mine get here because of the weather, etc. So if you're looking for the cardinals and you don't want to wait, you go and visit Deb's website at paintingwithdeb.com. She will have them up there today. So there we go. We've got a little highlight on all of the grapes.
Oh, it's cheese.
It's cheese. I did say the word cheese multiple times.
I was wondering what that white splotch was going to be in the center, but
It's cheese.
yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. So this is Italian,
Yeah. So,
but wine and cheese and it's Swiss cheese.
well, it's holy cheese. So a few of these grapes are going to get a little simple little highlights, a little stroke of light buttermilk, nothing fancy, don't overthink it. I know, I use that a lot today.
And it's a Chianti?
It's a Chianti.
Isn't that a French wine?
No, it's not. It's Italian.
Okay. Swiss cheese is Swiss.
I know. This could be Parmigiano Reggiano.
Not with holes in it.
Sure. Why not?
Because
Could
you
be anything.
wouldn't get a slice.
Sure you would.
No, you
You can
wouldn't.
shave it.
Then it's not aged.
Yes.
It's not Parmesan.
It's not Reggiano.
You're not that slow, Renee. It's not pie. It could be pie. Could have been pie. Should have made it pie.
I should have. So I'm just going to use a little bit of thinned light buttermilk to carefully outline my wine glass a little bit. Again, nothing fancy. We're not looking for perfection.
The coupon code for Deb Antoniuk? You have
I
a
don't
coupon
know, I
code
think
for
so.
Deb's?
I think so. I just don't know what it is. I think it's Tracy 10. I'm not sure. Ask Deb Antoniuk.
I don't think she's here.
Is she not there?
I don't know. It's cheesecake. Agreed. Make it cheesecake.
It's cheesecake. Okay.
I like cheesecake.
You like food.
And you would never know.
I know. He's so damn skinny. If he turns sideways, sticks out his tongue, he looks like a zipper.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Turn sideways, I might fall through the cracks in the floorboards. Don't say cheese too loud. My dogs will be looking for it. Words that Maze already knows.
Yeah.
Sit, lay down. No.
Walk.
Walk. Watermelon.
Watermelon. Ice cube.
Ice cube.
Yeah. She knows ice cube.
Tracy 10 is the coupon code.
Okay.
No, that's not one of the words that my dog knows.
No.
Doesn't know what Tracy 10 is. Oh, and toy.
And toy. Yes, she knows toy.
She had to know what toy was.
So we're going to add a little highlight to the wine. And I'm going to do that with a little float of that light buttermilk. And I'm going to pick up just a tiny touch of Tuscan red. I just want like a pink. I want a pink. And opposite that dark shadow, I'm going to put that nice little float of that pinky tone on the top of the wine, like so.
Bed. She knows bed.
Bed, yeah. And we're going to dry this really quick, and then we're going to dry brush our highlights onto the wine glass and the wine bottle. And then we'll add some final details.
You need Ratatouille sticking his head out of the cheese.
No,
You gotta Disney it up.
I'm not Disneying up this thing. So I'm going to grab,
Now I want
which
wine
dry
and
brush
cheese.
do I want to use? I can't find my good dry brush. Oh, there it is.
Ta-da!
So the one I'm using is this. It's a Mezzaluna, a medium. And I'm using a little bit of that light buttermilk. And I'm going to... Now, when light passes through a glass, it passes through the glass, which means that it strikes on this side. And I'm going to use the curve of the glass to put my highlight in. Like so. The texture that we put down actually helps a great deal in this regard. And then we have to do the same thing on the other side, over here, from the top down to where the wine ends. So the light passes through, but it strikes the glass on both sides. So there we go. So we have our highlight on both sides of the glass.
Nice.
And then we're going to come over to the wine bottle. And again, we're dry brushing, so I'm going to use just in from the edge slightly will be our light impact point. And I'm going to pull it down the neck and down the curve, like so. And it's going to arch over like that.
Nice glass of wine. Is it too early? No, it's never too early.
For me, it just means bedtime will come a little sooner. So I don't have much of a tolerance anymore.
I don't think I have a tolerance.
I can have my 2 little glasses and that's it.
I had half a glass of wine with Christmas dinner there, and
Yeah.
that was more than enough for me.
So there is our dry brushed highlight. And I'm going to put a light impact point right here on the neck of the bottle. And here on that curve, right there, that's where it's going to be the brightest, because that's where the light is striking.
Patrick has a question about dry brushing.
Sure.
A bit lost. I thought that for dry brushing you had to unload a maximum of paint into a paper towel. You don't do that. Does that mean it's not necessary?
I don't do it because I do it on my palette. So when I'm scumbling it on my palette, I'm essentially drying out the paint. I've always done it this way. And so I don't have a ton of wet paint on my brush when I do this, but I scumble it on my palette first.
We need a picture of Maze when she gets stuck in the cat door.
She
Well, believe
looks
me,
rather satanic. Because there's no light in that upstairs hallway when she sticks her head through. And so all you see is those shining dots. It's kind of creepy, actually. So I'm going to use my rigger. And I'm going to put a little nice, whoops,
oops.
too much water in my brush. I'm going to put a light impact point there, there, and there. So now we have a nice bright impact point on our wine glass.
What was that?
There we go.
Are you teaching your pup in English or in a different language? 3 different languages. English, hand signals, and just because it's habitual for me is French. For certain commands. But the generic ones to actually control the dog are going to be English because
We all
not going to be a working dog. But she's getting the hang of hand signals pretty quick.
Yep, she is. She knows to sit or she doesn't get her watermelon.
Tracy, do you have a lesson with snowy pine trees?
Snowy pine trees. I don't often paint landscapes, but I suppose I could
In the future.
in the future. So now it's time to start adding the little details. And I like doing that with my 10-aught liner. I'm going to use a little bit of... My palette's a mess. I just put my fingers in the paint. I'm going to use a little bit of light buttermilk mixed into that sprout or margarita or whatever green that you chose to use. So I just want it to be a little bit more opaque. So because I like to do this, I like just this sort of scribbly outline at the edges of leaves. Like so.
Deborah Graydon? Since we lost Dews suddenly, I don't know if I want a Belgian for my next service dog. In some countries, you can't. Canada, I don't believe there is a restriction, but it depends on who's doing it.
Yeah.
The only restriction in Canada is it can't be a bully breed.
Yeah.
Even though bully breeds make some of the best service animals.
Mm. So I'm just adding some of the finer details, the center vein on those olive leaves. I like a little outline just to clean them up, make them define them a little bit. But it's super fine. They do not have to be perfectly on the leaf. They can be on the outside edge. They can be inside. It doesn't matter.
Linda Giesbrecht. I believe she's from Winnipeg, right?
She is.
Yeah. Artist Emporium.
Yes.
If you're looking for 10-aught liners,
Yes.
go to the Artist Emporium. It is on. Oh, I gotta remember the name of that street.
It used to be.
I think it's still there.
It seems to me they moved. I think. Or maybe they opened another store. I don't know.
Google.
Google it.
Consult the Oracle.
So again, I'm just using my liner to stroke in some of those little details. Again, not too worried about whether or not they're absolutely perfect. I do like a few little tendrils.
Oh, they did move.
Yep.
They're in the industrial section near the airport.
Well, they've always been up there.
Yeah, but they're not on the Route 90 part anymore. Or, yeah. They are.
They used to be. I'm trying to remember the name of the street.
They are on Roseberry Street.
Oh, okay.
I remember them being somewhere else.
Yeah.
St. James.
And their stock is not very good. Okay. Is there a Canadian source? Try Country Bear. Billy, the dog he was referring to is just, it's not restricted in Canada. It's just restricted as a
Service animal.
service animal. That's all.
Non-dog people make the breed laws? Yes. People who don't know anything about dogs make the breed laws.
So I'm going to transfer my lettering on now. And I kind of like my lettering to go over top of the bottle a little bit. If you prefer, you can tuck it in behind. That's entirely up to you. So I'm going to tape that into place. Of course, now it doesn't want to go. There. Hello.
It just won't line up now?
Now it wouldn't line up.
Of course not. Not when you need it to.
No. Why would it do that?
Kind of bully breeds.
Pit bulls.
Pit bulls, American bullies,
Staffordshire Terriers,
XL
things like
bullies.
that. So I'm using a red gel pen to trace it because this way I can see where I've been, especially when I get talking and I forget where I've been. Fortunately, that doesn't happen in traffic, but yeah, it's not much of a snowstorm.
No, well, not anymore. It was blowing pretty good earlier.
Sit.
Yeah. Now, I love all animals, but owning said breeds is a different story.
Yeah.
I like huskies. I wouldn't own one just because I know what kind of maintenance they are.
And they don't fit.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, part of the trick is finding a
What?
dog that fits within your family, fits within the lifestyle, fits within the home. Maze is a very high energy, very busy puppy dog.
Yes.
If we didn't have the kids here, I don't think that we would own a Belgian.
Owning a husky is kind of like sleeping in glitter. Yes, exactly.
Yep.
You will have dog hair.
She tried to come down again.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, Dad caught her. All I hear is no. And she knows what no means, and she really doesn't like it.
Aussie puppies. Aussie puppies are awesome. Again, a lot of floof.
Lot of floof. So we're going to have a little bit of fun with the shading on this these letters, we're going to use a little bit of thinned asphaltum. And the shadow is going to come about 1/8 of an inch or more away from the letter. So it's a float, like so, as if you were going to shade the letter. But you're going to come about 1/8 of an inch away from the letter. This is going to create a little bit of a drop shadow, like so. And that shadow is going to continue across. It's weak. It doesn't have to be strong at all to be effective. But it just creates a little bit of a drop. So it gives the lettering the illusion that it's sort of hovering over the surface. Just like that. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but it just creates that little bit of depth, that little bit of elevation for the lettering. Now, I'm going to dry that real quick. And then we're going to use thinned asphaltum to paint the lettering in. Now, I chose thinned asphaltum for a reason. I thought that white would be too bright and it wouldn't fit with this. And a soft black would have been too heavy and too dark, and it would have competed quite drastically with the lettering. So we're going to go with a little bit of thinned asphaltum. Now, I'm using a number 2 rigger. So I think it's a number 2. No, it's not. It's a 0. Good heavens. It just dawned on me that I did not even look.
Yeah, if I didn't get maize, I would have gotten a blue nose pit bull. Belgian was my first choice. My second choice was a blue nose. Because blue noses are beautiful. Mm-hmm. They have awesome temperaments. And they're lazy pups. However, they are high energy. They just burn out faster.
Yep. Miss Maze takes quite a while to burn out.
Yeah, it only takes 5 minutes to recharge.
Yeah.
And I can't even say it's solar powered.
Nope.
It's air powered. Blue noses are cool. Blue noses are awesome. One of my favorite dogs. Roddy Lab mixes.
See, I'm a fan of Roddies.
Mom loves Roddies.
I love Roddies.
She can't stand the drool, but she loves Roddies.
Can't stand the drool, but I love Roddies. There's something about that face that just does me in.
It's the big square head.
Oh, and they just have such lovable personalities. I don't know.
Extremely loyal dog.
So,
Sheltie. Ooh.
I like Shelties are cute.
I have always been a shepherd person.
Yeah, I like shepherds.
But that's where most of my focus was shepherds. So whether they be Sables or German Shepherds or Alsatians, Belgians.
Yeah, but you worked with police dogs, search and rescue dogs, so it stands to reason.
I like Alsatians just because they're just big goofs, but they're all about the cuddles.
They're all about the cuddles. That's what you need. Puppy cuddles.
But they don't realize how big they are.
Yeah, like Mace doesn't realize that she weighs 40 pounds and is not a lap dog.
Says you.
and has no sense of personal boundaries or personal
Tell me about it.
Yeah, none whatsoever.
Our last was a Shepherd Lab mixed. Nice. I love my mutt. Right on. Border Collies. Talk about high energy
Yeah, I love borders too.
and neurotic.
Yep, they can be if they're not kept
Busy.
busy. So I'm going to take my Tombow knock eraser. I love that thing. And oops. Got my Tombow knock eraser. Now this is where this thing comes in handy. If you have little graphite lines that are still peeking through that you want to get rid of, this little knock eraser is just fantastic for it because you can get into those little tight spaces and make them go bye-bye. Love it. Love them.
Rescues are best. I will agree.
Yep.
Rescues are best. My only problem with rescues, if you already have animals in your house,
Yeah.
a rescue could be a lot more work than you expect.
Mm-hmm.
And you can run into a lot more problems. So if you want to decrease those problems, get a puppy. Whether it's from
Shelter or breeder.
shelter or a breeder. If you do go to a breeder, make sure they're reputable.
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 Mm.
Make sure they actually have a CKC license if you're in Canada. If you're in the States, make sure they have an AKC license.
So there we have lettering. Now, from this point, again, I would just go around, brighten little highlights here and there as they need it. Couple here, a little tidying there.
So this question came up earlier. When are we using the stencil?
Right now.
Okay.
I left the stencil to the end because I like doing it this way.
That's the only reason.
That's the only reason. So, I mean, you can always do it at the beginning. You can do it whenever you want. But I like doing it at the end for this one. Simply because I'm only using it in one place. I don't need to have it everywhere. So I'm positioning my stencil. I'm using a little bit of asphaltum. And the brush is almost dry. You don't need a ton of color on the brush. We're not looking for opaque. We're just looking to create a little pattern back there. Now, ideally, it would have been a good idea to tape that stencil in place so that it didn't move, but there we go. So I can have a peek and see if I'm happy with the pattern, which I am. Just wanted a little bit of visual interest back there so that it's tucked in behind the wine. If you want to use it beforehand, and you can put it wherever you want. I chose to put it over here so that it didn't compete with this lettering. That was my biggest reasoning. If you find your lettering is, disappearing back there, don't be afraid to grab a little bit of your light buttermilk. Like this one is getting a little lost right there. So I'm just going to put a little stroke of a highlight on the left side of the letter just to lift it a little bit. And then to finish it, I like doing this. So I would go in at a sketchy line to my little landscape back there if I want some additional details, or if I want more detail. I can do that with my gel pen. Just like so. Now to finish this, I would take it out to the garage and I'll give it a couple of light coats of Decor matte spray, or if you're using a setting spray of some sort, you can do it that way. And then you can sign your work. Bob's your Uncle Sal's your aunt. I got a graphite line there that's bugging me. There we go.
I wasn't going to say anything.
It's just...
Oh.
There. And that is our Chianti. Now I mount this into an 11 by 14 frame that has a 8 by 10 opening. You could spatter it if you want to. You can apply a wash of asphaltum over the whole thing if you want to, depending on how aged you want it. I like it just the way it is. I think it's just ideal as is. So there we go. Vino Chianti. Super easy one. His buttons aren't working.
That one. There we go. Hey, it's snowing.
It's snowing. Is it? Oh, yes, right. Got the thing. So Vino Chianti. I mean, it looks really great in a frame. I think it's a fun way to dress up a really simple piece. And
there's a framed one
then
right
it's ready
behind her.
to hang. Yeah, I put it on the thing. So Vino Chianti. They're a fast little project. It really works a multitude of techniques, especially using the liner brush and a lot of floating. And then getting those nice transparent layers, it really makes this a whole lot of fun. The nice part is there's no perfect edges, there's no perfect detailing, there's no perfect line work. And eventually it all just becomes one simple design. It is an easy piece to paint. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the process because it's not a hard one to do. So since we've finished painting our Vino Chianti, don't forget we're going to be painting cardinals next Saturday. I can't wait. They're just so much fun to paint and they're super easy. So come and join us. We're in the same spot, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, both on my Facebook page and on the YouTube channel. So you can join us on both. And right now, Renee is setting up the wheel.
I have
of
it set up.
names.
I just got to switch.
He's going to switch it. And we have 3 surprise packs to give away today. Generally, those prize packs go out there at very least around $25. So there's probably some Tombow stuff in there. There's probably some silly stuff from us, pin kits and pencil cases and a variety of stuff. And we try to make sure that there's either some Dynasty brushes or some other goodies in there. So we have 3 of those to give away. How many names are on the wheel today?
Yeah.
Holy crap, that wheel is packed.
There we go.
That's a lot of names.
215 names to be exact.
Wow. So you better start spinning.
I can spin right now. As long as my pen works. Yeah, pen works. Okay.
Oh, good.
Who's first? This person.
This person?
Janet Reynolds.
Right on.
I gotta shrink your... Oh, I'm...
You gonna shrink me?
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
So, as always, make sure that you hop over to the website, click on the little speech bubble in the lower right-hand corner, and send us a message with your shipping information so that we can get your goodies out to you right away.
Surprise pack.
They're fun.
Surprise pack.
So then that means 2 of us will be surprised when you open it.
I'm surprised. If you see car keys in there, send them back.
Or the remote. Yeah, if somebody gets my remote, send it back.
All right. And Judy Thacker. No, Ann Davis, sorry.
Oh, Ann Davis, I was chatting with her earlier today. That's awesome.
Don't trust what I say, just watch the screen.
And we have one more to give away.
Spinning. Burden Brenda.
Brenda Burden.
It's backwards.
It's backwards.
That could have been my fault. Just saying.
Could have been.
Most likely my fault.
All right, ladies, don't forget, head over to the website, click on the little speech bubble in the lower right-hand corner, and send us your shipping information. That way we can get your goodies out to you as soon as possible. They are packed, ready to go, even have the postage on them. All we need is your shipping info. So next Saturday, we are painting those little red cardinals, the winter cardinals. They are a fun paint. They're super easy. The line drawings are complete in the pattern. And so if you don't have the surface and you would prefer to do them on watercolor paper or in journal page, then feel free to do that. They will trace very nicely onto there. So what else? Oh, I know what I had to do. I almost forgot. Goodness.
What'd you do?
I had a ton of Happy Mail this week.
You didn't do Happy Mail at the
Didn't
beginning
do
today?
Happy Mail.
My
Okay.
God.
I got a bunch of Happy Mail this week.
Too much?
Well, no. Is there ever too much?
I don't know.
No. I did. I got some absolutely lovely Happy Mail. Wonderful cards from my niece and nephew in Tennessee, from Joe and Lisa. And then beautiful cards from my buddy in South Carolina, Eddie. I got a lovely card from him. And I had a beautiful card from Sandy Barton with the chickadees. Look how pretty.
No, there was tons of glare on that.
Oh, yeah, it's a slick card. And then a beautiful one from Robin Storm. And then I got this one. This one says, jingle bells, jingle all the way. It is a hand-painted card. The little birds. It's an original watercolor designed by Lillian Davids. So, Lillian, this one goes in with all my treasured pieces. It's absolutely beautiful. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it and love it. And I almost forgot to do Happy Mail today. Almost. Almost is not for sure. So I have a ton of Happy Mail. I'm still getting parcels and cards and messages. And I can't tell you how nice it is to open the mailbox and get Happy Mail. I love it. It's fun. And there's so many hand-painted pieces and beautifully made handmade cards. They all end up in the same place. They all go into my cabinet with all the rest of my little treasures because I love those things. So that is it for us this week. If you don't already, or if you are not already subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so. Hit the big red subscribe button. English is a second language
You
today.
good?
I'll be fine.
How about some wine?
No, that won't help.
Boring.
Promise you that won't help. Hit the big red subscribe button and turn on the bell notifications so that you get notified whenever we go live or when we post new video. And if you don't follow Tracy Morrow live, hit the follow button. And again, turn on the notifications so that you know when we go live. And we are here every Saturday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time on Tracy Morrow Live. And we have tons of fun projects to do. I've got lots planned for the next year coming because there's just so many things to paint and not nearly enough time. So everybody have a great week. If you're in the path of this storm or if you're getting it, please stay safe. Mwah. We love you. Take care.
Hunker down and get your storm chips.
Storm chips. I've got lots of storm chips.
I
make sure we have
I
storm
know.
chips.
And pet your dog.
And pet your dog. Mwah. Take care, guys.